Dallas, good to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, huge success in the movie theaters with the best Christmas pageant ever. Now people are able to see it at home, perfect for the holidays. My interesting thing is, anytime you make something that had prior source material, what is your relationship with that? Like, this was kind of a book, now you make it a film. Do you kind of do a lot of research with the original source material? Do you kind of throw it away? Like, I'm just curious what your kind of mindset was from a directorial perspective.
Well, I do have experience taking a beloved book and translating it into film because I do a show called The Chosen, which is based on the Bible. So I think one of the things that is the common thread among filmmakers who have taken popular source material and made it successfully, hopefully, is a love of that source material. And so whether it's comic book world or whether it's the Bible or whether it's, in this case, a beloved Christmas classic book that's been out for 50 years, I love this book. I read it to my kids almost 20 years ago. I laughed, I wept. My wife and I, this was like a dream project for us. And so when it came time for me, when I finally got the rights after chasing it for 20 years, there was no chance that I was going to contradict the character and intentions of the book. And I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah. So I do the same thing with the Bible, obviously. You're going to add some content that's not originally there. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to make some combinations and some sacrifices and whatnot to make it a movie or a TV show, because obviously they're very different mediums from a book. Yeah. But if you love it the whole time, if you really want to preserve the integrity of the original source material, I think the audience can smell that. I think they know the difference. Yeah. And so I haven't heard from a single person who loved the book, Best Christmas Pageant Ever, who doesn't also love the movie. And I think that's because I love it so much. But then you also have to, of course, make it accessible to the person who either in the case of the Bible, if they're not a believer, or B, the case of the Best Christmas Pageant Ever, they never read the book. Well, they have to love it too. So that's that tension that you walk. That tightrope that you walk. But if you love the source material and you happen to love movies or television, it makes it a lot easier.
It's interesting and complicated at times too, though, right? Because at the end of the day, like, yes, you're going to do it justice as much as you can. You mentioned The Chosen and the Bible, but at the end of the day, like, this is the film, right? For the best Christmas pageant ever. This is not the book. So I feel like sometimes there's a loss, like, people like don't realize that at times, and they're very protective of the book. But that's, I feel like, a whole other podcast like segment. I did want to kind of ask you, I'm a filmmaker as well, so I love the script to screen kind of journey, right? Kind of reading this script, seeing these characters come to life on screen, whether you're in Video Village or the first time you see it at a premiere. I'm going to ask you a specific question about the movie with the Herdmans, right? Because the Herdmans are these misunderstood kids. They're not great kids. You know, it's the holidays and everything. But there's this kind of journey of seeing that it is not what it seems to be. They're just misunderstood kids who haven't had the best kind of luck or time. I'm just wondering what it was like for you from a directorial perspective, seeing that Herdman's journey on script translate and come to life on screen specifically.
Well, that's the thing. So the book and the movie are told from, it's similar to A Christmas Story or Wonder Years, where it's an adult telling the story from their kids, from their childlike perspective, right? Yeah. So when they were kids. So we wanted the movie to kind of capture that spirit. It's a slightly heightened reality, right? It's a Christmas movie, so there's always a little bit of a certain shine to that, right? But you want it to feel real, but it's also a kid's perspective, so you enhance the reality just a bit. You want it to be witty and charming and all that. You're seeing it through a kid's eyes. So the story of the Herdmans, who are the worst kids in the world, 6 kids from the wrong side of the tracks, they're bullies, they're mean, no one likes them. So you heighten that just a little bit, but you as the viewer, because you're not a little kid, I mean, even the little kids who watch it are watching it knowing that it's someone else's memory, you start to pick up on the things that aren't what that kid thought, right? So the kid who's narrating it, in this case, it's played by Lauren Graham, the wonderful Lauren Graham from Gilmore Girls, Parenthood. So she's describing her childhood, but it's similar to A Christmas Story. As the viewer, you know, okay, this is a slightly unreliable narrator. They're exaggerating. They're seeing it differently than what's reality. And that's what plays out in this story. And here's the key. That's where casting comes into play. Yeah. The Herdmans are bad kids, but at the same time, you have to feel some empathy for them because you realize as the story goes on, oh, they're bad for a reason. A little kid might not pick up on that, but you as the viewer are. And so the casting was essential. And the casting of the Herdman kids, I would say, is the miraculous part of this movie. These kids are just amazing actors. They inhabited these characters so well, and they walked that tightrope between comedy and pathos, between reality and a kid's imagination. And that's what I think makes the movie work and why I think people have been responding well to it.
Absolutely. So much happens before you officially go to camera on the best Christmas pageant ever, or when you go officially to camera on a new season of The Chosen. There's a lot of conversations. There's a lot of preparation. From a storytelling perspective, it could be seen as two journeys, before filming something and after filming something. Or for Dallas Jenkins, does it feel like one big journey with multiple steps in between? I'm curious about that.
Well, because I've done it enough, I bake in to my process knowing what each of the stages are. So when they say, you know, there's the movie you write, the movie you shoot, and the movie you edit. And there are three different
and
movies.
If two of those are the same, you're in good shape, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's the yes, I mean that cliche is true, but when you've done it enough times, you're used to that. So it is all one project. I just know when I'm writing. I've done this enough times that I can visualize kind of where this is going to go. And then when you're filming, you're hoping to just capture the brilliance of the script, hopefully if the script is good, but you're hoping to kind of get out of the way a little bit. You know, you want to protect the script from any outside invaders, while at the same time, your actors are bringing something that you didn't expect sometimes. And your cinematographer is hopefully going to make you better than you are. Then you get into the editing room, and the editor, of course, is going to see things that differently than how you saw them. So I've done this enough, and I think I'm the kind of filmmaker who, as I'm writing, I'm visualizing that it does feel like one cohesive movie by the end. I just know it's gonna look a little different. I need to be prepared for some of those surprises. And you as a filmmaker, I think that's your job. I think your job is to know going in what that's why I'm not a big on storyboarding, because I'm like, the visuals, I want there to be some discovery on set.
Yeah.
And so if I'm baking this in too much, Steven Spielberg doesn't storyboard anymore either, because he's like, it almost became too easy. I'm just basically painting by numbers, and I don't want that to happen. And so I think that's part of an important part of the process.
Absolutely. And the last question I wanted to ask you, and I usually ask actors this when I interview them because I kind of want to know about it, but I want to ask you this in regards to a director, in regards to the conversations with your actors about this, whether you do have these, because I find it interesting because you look at, you know, specifically this film and the self-reflection, soul-searching, these characters are lost, finding themselves and everything, right? And I feel like from an acting perspective, I've asked a lot of my actor, you know, friends and colleagues, like whether they feel like it's more fun or more challenging from a storytelling perspective playing these lost characters, because from the viewer perspective, they don't know they're lost, right? So I'm wondering if whether with The Chosen or whether with, you know, this film, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, if you ever have conversations with your actors specifically about the self-reflection component and whether the actors feel like it's more complex, it's more of an exciting kind of journey. I'm just curious about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting because whether it's The Chosen or Best Christmas Pageant Ever, the actors know where the story is going, but they're not supposed to in many of the scenes that they play. And that's where that whole trust comes in. The actors have to do a trust fall with their director and think, okay, my director, their job is to see the big picture even more than I do. And so those moments where I go to an actor and I say, you know what, now's not the time to cry yet, or now's not the time to laugh so much, or now's not the time to be so confident. You're not there yet. Let's save some of this for later. And so that's the back and forth that we go through. And I would say for a lot of actors, they do love that. I think the best actors love that moment where they're filming and they don't know how it's going, and they have to trust their other actors, or they have to trust me behind the camera. And so even the most confident actor, I've found when I say cut, they look to me and go, okay, how are we doing?
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful relationship, when they are willing to trust me, and I'm also willing to trust that they're going to bring something new to the table, even though I know the journey may be better than they do.
Absolutely. The, you know, Best Christmas Pageant Ever had an amazing, incredible run in the theaters, but now, you know, available to buy today and watch instantly. Dallas, thank you so much for your time. It was great chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.